And welcome to the May 20th, 2020 legislative session of the Penfield Town Board. I'll officially call this meeting to order. The town clerk and myself will rise and lead everyone in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I'll ask our clerk to please call the roll.
Draw. Aye. Cole.
Here.
LaFountain.
Here.
Moore.
Here.
Ockenden.
Here.
We will continue on resolutions by function.
Adoption of local law number 2 of 2020 to be known as a local law to authorize establishment of a community choice aggregation energy program in the town of Penfield.
Move.
Second.
Whereas the town board of the town of Penfield wishes to consider adopting proposed local law number 2 of 2020, known as a local law to authorize the establishment of a community choice aggregation or energy program in the town of Penfield. Whereas the purpose of said law is to reduce cost and provide cost certainty for the purpose of economic development to promote deeper penetration of energy efficiencies and renewable energy resources such as wind, solar, and wider deployment of distributed energy resources, as well as to examine the retail energy markets and increase participation of the benefits for eligible consumers in those markets. Among the policies and models that may be offered for benefits in New York is Community Choice Aggregation, or CCA, which allows local governments to determine the default supplier of electricity and natural gas on behalf of eligible consumers. Whereas the town will seek a combination of lowest cost and highest percent of renewable energy resources. And whereas the town board, acting as lead agent pursuant to SEEKR, State Environment Quality Review Act, having classified the proposed action as an unlisted action, hereby makes the determination of non-significance and adopts a negative declaration for this proposal. Whereas the town board of the town of Penfield held a public hearing at the Penfield Town Hall on March 4th, 2020 at 7 p.m. and on said date to consider said proposal and to hear all persons interested in the question of the adoption of local law 2 of 2020, and the public hearing was closed and a decision was reserved. Now therefore be it resolved and hereby is enacted by the town board of the town of Penfield as follows. Local law number 2 of 2020 herein set forth. For the record, Mr. Supervisor, this is quite an extensive local law. I'm sure this will be on file with the county clerk's office and also posted on the town website. It talks about local law to authorize the establishment of a community choice aggregation energy, or CCA, program in the town of Penfield. Be it enacted by the Penfield Town Board of the town of Penfield, the code of the town of Penfield is hereby amended by adding a new chapter 110, Environmental Sustainability, Article 1, entitled Community Choice Aggregation Enabling Statute. The statute 110.1 talks about legislative findings, intent and purpose, and authority. Statute 11.2 talks about definitions, talks about CCA administrator, customer specific data, data security agreement, distributed energy resources, along with distribution utility eligible customers, participating consumers, new consumers, ESCO and Energy Services Company, the Public Service Commission suppliers. Section 110.3 entitled Establishment of a Community Choice Aggregation, or CCA, program, lists 4 different items that talks about that. 110.4 talks about eligibility. 110.5 talks about an opt-out process. 110.6 talks about customer service. 110.7 data protection requirements. 1108 administration fee. 110.9 reporting. 110.10 effective date, and so forth. So, Mr. Supervisor, I'd like to put this proposal resolution forward for the board's vote. Thank you.
Very distinctly. Certainly, our town attorney and Mr. Costello, as well as the Energy and Environmental Board, has done a lot of work on this behind the scenes to make sure that we got all of our I's dotted and T's crossed. So thank you to the EEAC, thank you to Mr. Horowitz, and thank you to Mr. Costello for getting this in a form and fashion for us to vote on tonight. I'll ask the board, are there any further questions or comments?
Real quick, Mr. Supervisor, if I can, I also want to include a thank you to you and a thank you to Councilman Bob Ockenden for your leadership over the last couple months in getting this initiative going. And certainly with the COVID-19 crisis on our hands, starting really in early March, you kept this moving forward as a priority and kept it live in the public discourse. And certainly, Bob, as a new councilman, this was one of the agenda items that Bob talked with many of the board members, if not all the board members, about keeping this moving forward through 2020 as a part of our initiative moving forward. So thank you, Councilman Ockenden, for your support and initiative in making sure that this comes up for a vote. I just want to also mention that this is just another example of the commitment that this town board has made to conservation and green initiatives here in Penfield. And, there's an extensive laundry list of items that we've done and actions that we've taken in the name of open space, green energy, and conservation. One, obviously, is the solar array right off Jackson Road next to the Highway Department, a partnership with NYSERDA, with the state of New York, very little cost to the town, if next to no cost to the town, that helps offset utility costs, which allows us to keep the budget as low as we can, thus benefiting residents and taxpayers. Also, the solar array we have on top of the Harris Whalen Lodge, although small, it's another initiative that shows our commitment. The 2 electronic charging stations that we have, one here at the town hall, and then one at the library, and then, 3 electronic charging stations for vehicles at the town hall, at the library, and at Harris Whalen Park. I'm not sure any other town in Monroe County the size of Penfield has 3 separate locations for residents. Also would like to mention the purchase of Shadow Pines a few years ago, over 200 acres that we saved from a massive residential development, thus enacting our efforts into promoting open space, green space, and recreation space for Penfield residents. LaSalle Landing Park, a few years back, we expanded that down on Empire Boulevard. LED lights in the town hall facility, again, conservation type stuff and lowering costs for utilities. And then, of course, back in 2010, I think over a decade ago, I think it was in January of 2010, January and March, can't quite remember the month, we initiated the Energy and Environment Committee. I think we're the first town that did that, and subsequently more towns have called Penfield to inquire about what are we doing, how did we get that committee going, and it's a resident-led committee here in the town of Penfield, so very proud of creating that. And then over the 1,000 acres that we have of open space and conservation easements here in the Penfield. So that's just a very short list that I put together real quick before the meeting started of some of the things that this town and town board has made a commitment to residents and a commitment to saving taxpayers money and a commitment to promoting open space, green space, energy, and conservation here at the local level. We can't control what the state does. We can't control what the federal government does, but I think we have a pretty good track record here in Penfield with our commitment to those ideals, and certainly moving forward with this reservation, or with this resolution, I should say, with your leadership, Mr. Supervisor, and the leadership of Councilman Bob Ockenden over the last couple months, gets us to this point today, and very proud of that, and I thank you both very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. I'll ask any other comments.
Mr. Supervisor, I just want to thank Councilman Moore for those comments, and yourself, Mr. Supervisor, your staff that's been working on this, as well as Attorney Horwitz for his work. This would have been easy to have this fall to the side, given everything that's been going on here since the start of the pandemic. So I just want to thank everybody for meeting the deadlines and getting this before us tonight. It's very much appreciated, so thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Ockenden. Other comments, board? Okay, seeing no further comments, I'll ask our clerk to please call the roll.
Draw.
Aye.
Cole.
Aye.
LaFountain.
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
Ockenden.
Aye.
5 ayes.
Thank you, board. Seeing no further calls or electronic notes coming in, and there being no further business before the board this evening, the May 20th, 2020 legislative session of the town board stands adjourned at 7:35 p.m. Thank you for everyone that participated. Thank you to Penfield TV. And again, remember Memorial Day and the true meaning of Memorial Day here over this upcoming weekend. Thank you. Be well and be safe.